Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I want to welcome you to Zoom in on the Halal Metropolis, a project of the University of Michigan and the University of Michigan Dearborn, part of our Halal Metropolis project. I'm Sally Howell. I'm the director of the Center for Arab American Studies at the U of M Dearborn. And what we're doing with this project is interviewing people from the Muslim community throughout the metro area, to find out how the community is coping with COVID, how it's being affected by the pandemic. So today I'm interviewing Jenna Chami. Hi, Jenna, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm interviewing Jenna for two reasons. So first off, Jenna is a graduate student. She's getting a master's in public health at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, and also a master's in Middle Eastern studies. And so I want to talk to her a little bit about what it's been like to be a graduate student in this period, and um, being in school full time and having to do everything remotely, and especially being a public health student, when obviously we're in the middle of a pandemic, and there's never been a time, I don't think, in our history when we've been more aware of how under-resourced we are in terms of public health. So I want to ask you about that, but then I also want to welcome Jenna, because she's one of the newest members of the Halal Metropolis team, and she's going to be joining us. She'll become a very familiar face to everybody, I hope. I hope you watch frequently enough. She's going to be helping us do interviews with some of the people who are on the front line of the pandemic, as public health workers, as health workers, and as students. So I'm really happy that you're going to be joining us, Jenna.
Thank you. I'm so excited to join the team.
So first, tell us what your experience has been like as a graduate student.
Oh, it's been interesting. So I graduated with my BS in public health, like literally like when the pandemic started. So like I didn't have like a proper graduation, so it didn't feel like I graduated. And then like I found out that they reopened public health application at U of M, so I decided to apply and I got in. And then so like I went straight through, like I didn't take a break. And so honestly, it feels like I've been just an undergraduate student, even though I'm a grad student, because didn't get that proper like, send off ceremony or like, get like the diploma and all that. But then I'm doing Masters of Public Health in Health Behavior Health Education at U of M, and then I'm also doing Masters in Middle Eastern Studies. And so being a dual degree student is a lot. It's a lot of work, and I'm taking like always a high course load. But then also like being on Zoom is just different. Like I've like become so close with so many people, but I've only met them virtually. So it's like so weird. Like I don't know how it's gonna be like when I meet them in public. And then being a public health student, like in the midst of like a public health like emergency, it just shows how important public health is, and the importance of like health education, and the importance of just like educating people on public health issues, and like how to properly, like for example right now, like dealing with COVID. So I just like know that like when I'm graduated, that like, I'm going into a field that's always going to be needed. So I'm excited about that. And
Well, how
being
has
on
it changed has it changed your coursework at all? Are you doing like any applied things where you're, I mean, I know you can't like go work at a Department of Public Health, but are you like taking part in projects that are a little bit more hands-on?
Yes and no. So what they try to do during class is they try to like, put us out in breakout rooms and like give us scenarios to like actually like work on. Last semester I didn't get that much of like hands-on experience because it was more of just like learning like the theories, and like I took a biostats course and all that. But like this semester, for example, I'm taking like a health promotions class, and like we're learning about like grant proposals and like how to write grants, and like how to work with organizations, and just in general like how you're going to be able to work as a public health professional. And so right now we have a group project, and I'm actually working on with my group with Access on a grant proposal. So that's pretty cool. I recently met with Access, so like it's like we're meeting with these organizations virtually, and like we're going to be working with them to like together to like create like this grant proposal for their certain project that they want us to do. So that I'm really excited about, because like even though it's like virtual, it's like kind of like a hands-on experience, and like they're going to actually take our work and like use it. So I'm excited to see how that's going to play out.
That's super. I mean, I know that for a group like Access, grants are the lifeblood of the work they do, right? They're
Mhm.
only as good as their grant writers. So this is great experience for you. Yeah,
Yeah.
we actually worked with with the county, with Dr. Mohammed Hamami, who's the head of the sort of their sort of COVID response at Wayne County, and they were wanting to do some ad campaigns that were sort of intended to, I mean, they were targeting the Arab community really specifically with their message. And I remember thinking, how on earth are they going to do that? What are they going to do? And I based, all I did was help find some students to participate in some focus groups for them. That was all I did. I had no idea what the stories they were going to. And then recently on Facebook, I saw one of these ads, and it was just like, it was very subtle. It was just like a young guy standing in front of the Dick's Mosque looking at his phone, and you could see the mosque in the background. But if you didn't know the mosque, you wouldn't have known what it was. It wasn't like had a big sign. I just thought it was a really smart, sophisticated ad. And so I don't know, it was a little bit nice to feel like I played a teeny little part in it.
That is so cool. Yeah, like so we're learning about that too, like in my program about like health messaging and like how to like play with like those subtle messages to like get your like message out to the community to like so they can properly take care of themselves.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, I do know that things are a little better now than they were a month ago or even 2 months ago, but the pandemic has been spreading in Dearborn very specifically. Dearborn and Hamtramck are two of the highest places in the area, in Wayne County, and Dearborn Heights as well. So I mean, and I think we were just talking before we got on the before we started recording about people that we're close to who have passed away recently. And my heart goes out to everybody who has been sick or who has lost a loved one in this period.
Yeah,
Well, so what else can you tell me about your studies, about being a student? You're like one of the few people I've talked to who has said that they've made friends on Zoom. Most people just talk about how they've got Zoom burnout.
oh,
So
that's
maybe,
so real.
so tell me a little bit about how you avoid burnout. What strategies, what advice do you have to give to other students?
Yeah, so it's hard because like sometimes like you're at some point you're gonna face the burnout. Like by the end of the week, I'm always exhausted. Like Zoom fatigue is just like so super real because like when you're sitting on the computer all day long, you just like get just so tired. But what I try to do is I obviously like stay hydrated. Sometimes I drink coffee. I'm not an avid coffee drinker, but like I try to if I really need the energy. But then what I do is I change my like location around the house. So like I'll sometimes like sit in my room or I'll like go to the living room or the kitchen or like to the basement just to like change it up to give me some type of semblance that I'm like going to class. Like I'm like walking to like a different location to class. Or even sometimes like I'll go to my grandma's house or my aunt's house. Like and like because like those are like they're the only people I see anyways. And so and like my grandma's house is like quiet. So I'll just like go change it up, like change the scenery a bit. Um and then to keep up with the work because like I feel like with Zoom schooling, it just seems like a lot more work than when you're in person. And they're just giving you like more, like for example, this semester I have like a lot of like extra recorded videos that I need to watch, which I've never had before because it's been like they're just giving you all like throwing all like this like information at you. And so what I've been trying to do is like I try to break up my studying as much as I can and give myself breaks. But then like I created like a list of like okay, this day I should do this class, and then tomorrow I should do like this another class. So like I try to like schedule my week to where I like am focusing on a different type of like a few classes each day, so I don't get too overwhelmed. And then I just keep like a checklist of like what I have to do and like my due dates. So it's like a lot. I'm definitely way more organized than like I usually was like when I was in in-person school. Just so you could keep yourself on track because like when you're on the computer all day, it just gets like kind of
Yeah,
too
and
much.
it's not all Zoom. I mean, it's not all Zoom, but Canvas is everything you're doing on the computer, and
Mhm.
it's just, yeah. I mean, I think we all feel this way. And I love the changing rooms. That's something I do too. This is not the room. It's my office, but I don't work in this room. I only do Zoom in here.
Yeah.
Well, so what was my other question? I had another question for you. Oh yeah. So you're also active with student organizations on campus there in Ann Arbor. So can you tell me a little bit about what they're doing, how they're responding?
Yeah. So I've been trying to keep up again because I'm taking a high course load this semester and the like last semester. I was like trying to getting a footing with everything was was like just trying to focus on school as much as possible. But so I've been a part of like the Arab Student Association, and they would have like, you know, Zoom movie nights, or like just like community discussions via Zoom, or like mass meetings like that. I'm also president of Middle East North African Public Health, part of the School of Public Health, and we haven't been able to do that much this past 2 semesters. But like we just advocate for like, public health issues in the MENA region and with the MENA population. So like, and honestly, like part of the orgs that I've been a part of, like I haven't been seeing as much as usual, because like the online atmosphere is just different. Like you don't get that camaraderie you get when you go to like the organizations, and you can't do as many activities. So it is harder. And then I just feel like everybody's just so overwhelmed with school that like sometimes like they don't have time to like do these organizations right now. Plus, I don't think personally, I feel like a lot of people like aren't going to like as many as events, because again, like everything's online. It gets just daunting after so much like being on there for so long.
Yeah, we're actually, I mean, I think at the Center for Arab American Studies, we're, for the most part, we're sort of suspending programming this year. And I tried to bring speakers to my class last semester, and the students just didn't come, and I said, okay, then I'm going to poll you guys. I've got this great speaker to bring. I'm going to poll you guys, and let's find a time that really works for everybody. And no one even filled out the poll. So I'm like, okay, I get the message. They've had enough of that. But yeah, so we're sort of suspending that. But yeah, it's just a challenge these days. It really is a challenge. But it's interesting that you're doing this work, as a part of your master's degree in Middle East studies too. And I'm just wondering if maybe, next year, in the second year, you're in the program, if you might actually not work on a project like how to get the vaccine to more people in the Middle East, because we're, you know, obviously we're not doing such a great job of delivering it here in the U.S. But hopefully by this time next year, our attention has really turned to other parts of the world and making sure that it gets out. I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't be helping it be distributed now, but I also know the reality of it, that most of the third world is not going to be, is not going to have access to it like Europe does and like the United
Right.
States does.
And like we're seeing that right now. Like I remember there has been talk like of like vaccine shortages like just around like the world, and you just hear like right now, like my family's from Lebanon, you just hear how bad like COVID is in Lebanon. And so it's very interesting, and that's part of the reason why I decided to do like a dual degree in public health and the Middle Eastern studies, because like for me, a lot of research in public health, like you notice, like MENA people are not really mentioned, because like one, we are categorized as white, but like two, like our voices aren't really like heard. Like as part of the reason like why you guys started Halal Metropolis, like you're bringing like a way for Muslims and Arabs to like come and like share their voices, share their experiences, because it's not like we don't know about them. And so that's part of the reason why I decided to focus on Middle Eastern studies and public health, so I can get the context, the historical context, political context, modern context of like the Middle East, so then I could properly uh, do public health practice with like MENA people like abroad and in the United States, just to ensure like the proper access to like improve research out like research on MENA people, because we need that. And like so yeah, so it's a very important topic to me. So I'm like I always advocate to like have like the MENA people always heard when it comes to like anything really, but especially in like the public health space.
And I think it's appropriate that you're from Michigan and you're going to the University of Michigan, you're in school of Michigan, because no one has been advocating for this, for a focus on the health of Arab Americans like the leadership of the Metro Detroit community, and in particular access, where you're working now. I mean, they've been doing this from, for 40 years or more. And that's just their health part, not all the other programs they're doing. So of course it's appropriate that Michigan would be leading in that conversation. I think it's great that you're going to U of M to get this degree. Well, so we've run out of time here. We've run a little bit over our time, which is not a problem. But I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and I hope you tune in to listen to some more of our interviews, and some of the ones I can't wait to myself to hear some of the ones Jenna's doing. She's got some really interesting people lined up. And if you have a story that you want to share with us related to the pandemic and how, if you've got a motivational story to tell, if you've got a hero you want to celebrate, or if you've got some advice you want to give to people that you don't think you're hearing about in another venue, we're all ears. We just want to find out how people are doing, and we know it's affecting everybody, and it's affecting almost every part of our lives. So that's what we're here to talk about. So thank you very much, Jenna. Welcome to our team,
Thank
and
you.
thank you everybody else for coming. Goodbye.
Bye.